All right, guys. Hey, honored to be here. My name is Jonathan Himebauch. I'm the tight ends coach at the Air Force Academy. Just starting my second season here in Colorado Springs with the Air Force Academy. As the tight ends coach, it's really unique within the positions that we look for here at the Air Force Academy. We call the position, the tight ends, we call them hybrids. And like a lot of people's offense, they have to do different things from being hand in the dirt to an inline blocker. What we ask our guys to do is to be detached a fair amount also. In our offensive scheme, we'll put them in the slot. So they'll have to be, in one of those three positions. We'll put them into the boundary as the number one receiver. But also, we do enough formationally that our tight ends not only need to be an inline blocker as a tight end, but we'll go enough tackle over that they need to play offensive tackles. So for me, 20 years of being an offensive line coach, it's really neat to be able to coach a position that's going to ask these guys to do a lot of different things. Honored to be here, and it's a great opportunity to be able to talk some ball. Today I'm going to get into some run game fundamentals just with what we ask our tight ends to do. And so we'll jump into it. So our hybrids, really the first thing, we call them the hybrids. It has the Y connotation to it with being that tight end position, but having to be a jack of all trades. And real quick, just to give you a little bit of how we teach and how I try to run our room with our tight ends. Number one, we're a progression-based teaching, a classroom or a way that we're going to try to get our installation of what we need our guys to do. To have that really take it from the classroom, to then take it on to the drills that we ask guys to do, to then take it to the reps in practice, and then transfer that to the game. So you want to put guys in a progression-based learning mode. I have my master's in education. I taught for a number of years at the high school level. So same thing. We're just trying to teach skills and empower our players to be successful, and then let their athletic ability go out and showcase what they can do. And coming from an educational background, a teaching background, I think it's important to note that our guys, or whether it's a high school, a college, or a professional athlete, they're all going to learn differently. They're all students of the game. So us as teachers, we really need to present information that's going to be able to capture our students, our players, really to really capture their mind and be able to empower them to be out and to go out and do what we need them to execute. So it's important for us to really reach and find different ways that we can really get the information across to our players that they can be successful. And then the other thing that we harp on in our room and in the program is creating habits to make the ordinary plays at any time. You don't need to be special on game day and be different than what you do in practice or in a meeting or in a walkthrough to create those habits that guys have from spring practice to summer workouts, so that they can make the ordinary play, whether it be blocking a defensive end, catching a corner route, cutting off a backside safety, whatever it may be, that they can do those skills anytime and any place because they've created the habits to make them successful. So we're going to jump right into run game fundamentals. So one of the things with an O-line background that I have in trying to get our tight ends to be able to be dominant run blockers, and we're very fortunate this year. We're able to play 6 games at the Air Force Academy. Because of COVID, we were able to play 6, and we led the country in rushing with 305 yards on average per game. Is we want to make sure that there's cohesiveness when the offensive line, the tight ends, our slot backs and receivers, that they understand that they've got to be able to activate their feet when they're blocking. And so here's a drill, and I'm just going to go quick, guys, and show you some of our individual drills. So the first one we're looking at is really just trying to take the progression-based teaching like we talked about and getting the guys in a fit position. They want to have elbows in, thumbs up, okay? They've got a Z in the knees, a great bend in their lower body, but being able to activate their feet and then start that drive dynamic that they can drive through and really run their feet to try to step on their toes of the man that they're blocking. Then we want to incorporate their hands. So we're activating their feet. We're going to refit their hands, and this is just a really kind of a pre-practice, get them going every day type of drill. Try to do something to activate their feet. And then the next thing is to refit their hands. Just guys understand that inside hand placement and body position that they need. Then you put the competitive aspect together. So we call it the king of the ring, however you want to do it. Put guys in those D-line pass rush hoops that they're able to get in a fit position, get their hands inside, sink their hips, turn their toes out, get their arches flat on the ground, and then be able to drive an opponent. And this is just two of the tight ends getting after each other in our individual drill, that one of the guys on the right here is able to really sink his hips, accelerate and activate his feet, and keep a good base. Now, I got rid of the D-line hoop because guys end up stepping on it and slipping and sliding. So just put them in the boxes or just put them on a white line that guys are able to understand there's a winner and a loser in every drill, just like in every game. We want to have that in our everyday drills. You need to create the competition aspect for your guys. So with our drive progression, we want to start guys not only, like we said, in a fit position, but we want to activate their feet and start them in, here's one example, where we really try to work on guys having the opportunity to really understand first step speed out of their stance with having a forward lean, dropping on one knee here to be able to work themselves on their board, whether it be a straight ahead drive block, or here you see us on an angle drive where we're working potentially on an outside 9 technique, a defensive end, or an outside backer as we activate their feet. Put them in a progression-based teaching environment that guys are not going against the defender right at the beginning, that they can work on air. Now you put a shield in front of them so they've got something to strike, so they understand hand placement. So take them through that progression. Guys understand the foot fire, that they want to drive off that. Here it would be their inside foot, so they have positive shin angles. Here's a good look at one of our guys really having that positive shin angle, driving off his instep, having full foot force in the ground, and then understanding the more force through the ground, the more they have to activate their feet and then be able to step on the toes. Then you put a defender in front of them. So do it on air, do it with a shield. Now put a defender, one of their peers in front of them. So take them, whatever drill progression you have, whether it be straight ahead drive block, whether you're working angle drive or back block or down block, take them through a progression so the guys understand what you're looking for, and you don't just all of a sudden put them in front of a live competitive environment, whether it's a defensive player or another offensive player. We function in a 3-point and a 2-point stance. So we're going to do our drive progressions, whether it be on air, against a partner, put them against a sled. So give them different targets. Plus, you're going to change things up for the guys every day at practice. It's not just going to be the same old, same old. I love the Crowther sled. I think it's one of the best tools, whether you put an individual blocker, whether it's hands and face, whether you're working one-arm flipper, whether you're working one-arm strike or one-hand strike. You can't hide on the Crowther sled, because if you don't understand leverage and foot fire and being able to put yourself in a good position, the sled's going to fly all over. So as we work through the progression, here's one of our guys really inside base blocking as he's got a head up defender as we simulate that, and he's working tight hands because of the tight pad that's on the sled, but also the foot fire, and put a little bit of weight on it. You can obviously put 2 guys at once, or you can have just individual guys working with a sandbag. So here's 2 guys working their base blocks, or they're taking just a slight drop step with their inside foot. So they've got an inside shade, whether they're play side, or you can work your backside cutoffs. So multiple different ways to try to get them to understand leverage. And every single day I'm going to film individual. These are filmed with a GoPro. I've got my manager that has a GoPro on her chest. She's able to shoot the individual as soon as I get back in the office. That's the first thing I do, is I watch individual and then pull clips to show the guys what it looks like from our vantage point. So the more camera angles, the different camera angles you have, not just by standing right behind guys, the more that they'll be able to see as you can show your players how they look as they're blocking. So going from either a 2-point or a 3-point, however you want to be able to work your drills and work these guys, it's your choice, whatever fits your offense. So I've been in a lot of different schemes that, I've been in a West Coast scheme. Here we're running triple option at the academy, but blocking and tackling is all the same. It's about angles, it's about power, and it's about foot fire. So a couple examples, and here's just one. I wanted to not only show practice clips, because I think the video from game clips also is really good to be able to show also. So here's a look at our tight end that's on the left-hand side here. We're basically running an inside zone scheme here, and he's stepping with his inside foot, put him in a three-point position as an inline unit tight end. So he's working inside drive footwork. He's got a nice tight base, and he's able to displace the defender right off the line of scrimmage. So you see his drive dynamics. He's got a good first step, second step speed, nice tight hands, flat back. He's putting face and hands into the block, and then good end result with one of our base blocks. Okay, I think I got one more here, and this is our tight ends on the right here. So we're tackle over like we talked about. So with the O-line background that I have, it's very familiar. As we go tackle over to the left, this is actually our tight end that's eligible as we go some tackle over. Whether some people move the fronts or not, we can create certain fronts. So again, here's a good look at basically a play side tackle. Or here, this is our tight end working an inside-out angle drive with an inside-out aiming point. As we get into it, you've got to find different ways to stimulate your players to have the skills that you need to get done to have a successful scheme. So here's where we're working on an inside drive block, a tight end with a left hand down, and we put a wrapped up Gatorade towel right next to his right pinky toe so that he wouldn't false step. And it's something that's soft, that if they step on it, they're not going to roll their ankles. I've used PVC pipes or those squishy boards that people used before. I've used all those, but I think towels are great just because if the guys step on it, it's no big deal. They're not going to roll their ankle. But here it shows our guy Kyle working inside-out drive leverage, whether he's play side, just having a reminder, not that he's going to step on something, but it's one more way. Just see he ends up stepping on it throughout the drill here also, that it's a conscious reminder for the guys to have great angles. Here's us just working the same in the shoots. Okay, we're working a down block, so this is a tight end on the right, down block in a 7 technique or an inside eye. We will put the towels next to their inside foot or the foot that they're leading with. We want to aim at the near V of the neck, okay, for our aiming points. We want to have hands nice and tight, and I'm just going to let these run a little bit. So we put it against a stationary defender on the boards. Now we want to try to get these down blocks with potential movement, because in this day and age, whatever level you're at, high school, college, or pro, defenders are going to try to create, I guess, indecisiveness with movement. And so here we are just down blocking, picking and pointing. We don't want to step underneath ourselves, so a good job by our young freshman tight end being able to gain ground, okay, probably a little bit high, but we want to get it, we want to stress them an individual. So we're really going to push that. Those guys give each other a really good look that he's able to step with getting that second step in the ground. Okay, so here's a good look. Tight end on the right. We're running a gap scheme, a power scheme here. So he does a nice job versus Navy here, taking a near V of the neck, down block, second step speed. He's square to the line of scrimmage based on reacting to potential movement, but great job getting hands inside, getting a good end result, getting the guy knocked down. So I think I put a couple examples here so we can jump through. And these are just different ways that we can get our players to understand, whether it be an individual skill in just our group setting or a full team setting. But here again, watch the tight end. He's got good inside gap footwork. We want to pick and point, gain ground, replace his heel with his toe, near V of the neck aiming point. We're getting a little bit of movement inside. He's able to sustain the block and good to get end result and pop the back for a first down. So a lot of gap schemes, whether you run a gap or zone scheme for us. We've got a ton of different schemes with what we ask our guys to do. And here's another example of our tight end being in a 2-point close split. Still the same type of concept here where he's down blocking based on the leverage of his defender, and he's able to sustain near V of the neck and get another good angle block for our runner. Put the guys on the Crowther sled, whether it's a 3-point, a 2-point, or here we're working double teams where it's more shoulder-based rather than hand-based. So lots of different ways that, you've all seen and you've gone to visit people. We want to stimulate our guys with new drills every single day, that it's not just the same, but the same really aspects are going to apply. Activating their feet, playing with great leverage, and having great strain and finish throughout their blocks, having speed off the ball. And just here's a good look at us working a double team, another gap scheme. So tight end and tackle working what we would call a tray block up to a backside linebacker. So now working in conjunction, more shoulder than hand placement for us to be able to work those same dynamics to show that it shows up on the film in games, needs to show up what you're asking your guys to do in practice and then individual. So if you need to work on pad level, say, then we need to get under the chutes that week. So whatever you're doing, let's make sure it's showing up throughout the week in your individual drills. So being able to work our down blocks and be able to handle movement like I talked about. So here's a good look for our tight end working another gap scheme down block, but here you have an outside linebacker reduced to a defensive end, being able to have that same down block angle drive down, but collecting movement, pulling it across. So create movement in your drill work is also going to show success and confidence come game day for these guys to be able to play at a high level. We run plenty of outside zone schemes also, so we're going to take them in individual, whether they're just in helmets. We're going to put them in a fit position, and they're going to compete, and they're going to run to reach. We want to take an open step, drop step, drive that back knee, drive the back fist, and work to a place side armpit aiming point on our reach blocks. So we'll fit them up. You can't hide on the drill. You can't hide when it's filmed. So the biggest thing is the guys know that there's a winner and a loser in every drill, and you might see some guys have to jump down and do some push-ups or up-downs. So we're just trying to create healthy competition within our room because we've got to be able to compete together on game day. So here's a good look at a reach dynamic. We're taking a drop step, crossover, trying to drive the backside knee with his toes pointed straight ahead. So a nice job being able to get backside knee drive through the reach dynamic. Okay, so we'll put them into partners, working the reach blocks. Now we're in pads. It's a little bit more competitive. You see the guys, they sometimes, he's not using the correct footwork here because he's really trying to jump hook. And we would like to see more drop, drive the back knee, press the backside fist. So here's good ways to say, don't just try to win the drill. Let's use the techniques that we want to see come game day. So here's another reach dynamic for here's our tight end in a close split again, that he's reaching the outside linebacker on a sweep action. So he's running to reach the play side pec. Aiming point is play side armpit. If he can't get the reach within the first 3 steps, he's going to go ahead and just eject him and run him out. So a good look there. We're going to be detached. We're going to be a number 1 receiver. So for the receiver coaches in here that are all of a sudden having to block, use tight ends to block detached. For me, it was a new world to be detached and not affiliated with the box, being 20 plus years as an offensive line coach. So our stock dynamic is so well coached by Coach Troy Calhoun here at the Air Force Academy. Our receivers and tight ends need to be able to block out in space. So what we want to do is be tempoed, under control, create foot fire, activate their feet, and then we give them a 4x1 landmark. They're 4 yards away, 1 yard inside, to be able to break down, shoot their hands inside, and create that same drive dynamic that we look for, whether we're on the line of scrimmage or displaced. So you take it against their own peers and individual, put them in a competitive drill against an outside linebacker or a safety body. So here's one of our guys. It's becoming a little bit closer spaced here with our stock drill, whether it's head up more in an Oklahoma drill type of setting. Guys being able to shoot their hands, and as a defender tries to pick a side, we want to have great foot fire, shoot our hands, and sustain the block to be able to set up a running lane. So good examples where individual skills are going to show up in a competitive setting against defenders. We want to be out in space, working with corners also, using the sideline as really a landmark for us to be able to turn guys out. So again, if the defender tries to pick a side, we want to activate our feet and then put them on the ground. Okay? We want to stay up on practice, but when it becomes time to knock somebody over, head up, then that's what the skill that's asked of us. So we want to be competitive in all we're doing. So here's a good look at one of our tight ends up top when he's detached. with a run coming at him. See, he does a nice job of chopping his feet, staying under control with his stalk dynamic attached, being patient, and then as the defender tries to separate now, we're going to try to take him out of bounds and finish the block the right way. So a good look by our guy taking him out of bounds. One more look here. Even now we're in the slot. So we've been in line, we've been tight end, we've been backside tackle, attached, detached, number one to the field, number one to the boundary. Now we're in the slot. So here's a good look at a guy, our starter, working up to really a third level player here as he's working play side, stalk dynamic up to that near safety, breaking his feet down, being able to sustain and play with active hands. We're going to be in line and work backside cutoffs. And guys, I know I'm trying to put a lot of information in a short amount of time. We ask our guys to do a lot here. And so every day there might be one or two different skills that we're going to really try to make an emphasis on because there is a high menu of what we ask our guys to do. So here we're working backside cutoff. We're going to take a drop step either as a tackle or as a tight end that we're on the backside of a play that we want to drop with our inside foot, aim our face mask or the screws of our face mask to the play side pec, drive that backside fist into the backside armpit, and then again, like we were doing on our reach dynamic, we do want to get toes straight ahead that guys understand their backside cutoff dynamic. One of the other skills that we'll ask, because we run a fair amount of zone in our program, is guys are going to need to be backside cutoff or sift schemes. And here's a look at being a backside tight end with an outside linebacker. If he crosses our face, we will take him. So we want to be inside out aiming point, protect ourselves. One hand can become two as the defender crosses face. Or you put a stationary target where they can really light into it. Stepping really as we're a right tight end here with the closest to us player. And he's taking inside footwork just to make sure that he's ready for any movement that may cross face. But we want to be thick and physical as we work even our backside sift combinations. So here's a look at the skill, taking it in the drill against a partner, putting it against the sled. Our tight end on the left, as he's sifting on the backside of a zone concept, would like him to have a little bit lower pad level, but he's under control. He's got positive shin angles. He's got an inside-out aiming point, and he does a nice job creating a cutback lane for our runner here. We get guys on the ground here at the Air Force Academy. We're going to cut the defenders on the ground, so we're going to practice our cut blocks here as a backside cutter. We're going to drop step, crossover, and we talk about cutting on the third to fifth step on the backside. We always want to plant our inside foot as a right tight end here, and a defensive lineman is inside of us. We're going to drop step with our inside foot, cross over with our second. We're either going to throw our backside fist on the third step, or with how much guys play off the line of scrimmage, it may take a fifth step for us to get that backside throw. But we want to make sure we have our helmet across, and we're going to practice it like we said, like we saw before, where they stay up, they work the footwork, or here we're trying to throw underneath and get our body across so we're not chopping anybody or clipping anybody, that we can get ourselves in front of the defender. So another example of taking our cut blocks, and I've used those kind of moving tackle wheels also as a good one. And here we are as a backside tackle, really working our backside scoop with our backside guard here. Since we're both going low, we're on the same page that we're together. We're not high-low on any of our down blocks or cut blocks. Okay? And then we need our guys to be able to move in space, like I said before. Our releases to the second level. We'll get more into the pass game on the next section, but releases on the first level is critical for us to be able to work whatever our read may be on the first line of scrimmage, to be able to take an advantageous release up to a second level player. So here you see one of our guys understanding that he's probably getting a cross-face defensive end to take a jab, arc release to work outside leverage on a linebacker. So guys understanding whether they can veer release inside, they feel the movement and the pre-snap indication with the defensive outside linebacker or defensive end in a demeanor that he might cross face, then being proactive, trying to throw the defender across and understanding where their leverage needs to be. So there's been a lot of different skills that we're trying to put together and pick a drill once a day, twice a day. I'm trying to get a couple things across to the guys in a short amount of individual. But here you want to be able to say the drills that we do in practice are going to show up in games. So here's a tight end in a close split next to the right tackle here as he is second level releasing, working around an outside backer, and then again getting inside leverage on a third level safety, understanding his whether play side stock or play side fit on the scheme here. So again, we can do it from a 2-point like you just saw there. Here we're working a read concept to his side. The right tight end here is taking a jab release. So he is now arcing to get to the outside leverage on one of our pitch plays. So understanding best release possible, understanding film and scouting of your opponent, best release possible to get outside leverage. So we're going to drill that throughout the week. There's a ton of different skills that we ask our guys to do at the Air Force Academy. Our tight ends have to do so much, like I said, between being guys that are in line, guys that are detached. Also, we're going to play offensive line, being an offensive tackle. So really, our hybrids here at the Air Force Academy, it's the full gamut of skill sets, being run blockers that are at the point of attack, guys that can move in space, and also be backside cutoff. You want to create speed off the ball. That is something that I think is so important to really drill into the guys, that they want to play fast, they want to play confident, and they want to be able to play with an edge to be able to finish every block. Even if they're detached backside, we hold our guys accountable to a high standard. We want them to be able to get a touch on a defender every single play. So they need to go get a piece of that backside safety or backside corner, that there's no play that they can go through that they're not putting their hands on somebody and playing physical. Guys, I know that was a lot in a short amount of time. Maybe it's applicable to your offense. There's a ton more schemes out there, but we try to do a lot of different things at the Academy. And I'm very blessed to have the opportunity to coach here at the Air Force Academy here with Troy Calhoun and the staff. Excited to be a part of this. And guys, if there's anything you ever need, my information's on here. So cell phone, social media. I'm at Coach_Hime on Twitter, on IG, on Snapchat. However I can get a hold of a recruit. We're going to use every possible way to reach out to people, but also to coaches, because it's a great way to trade ideas. I see there's a ton of coaches out there that are putting things out, and it's great. We're all just trying to get better each day because we're all teachers. And then, guys, if you want to shoot me an email, anything that I can do to help, because I've had a lot of great mentors and coaches that have helped me along my journey. So it's awesome to be able to talk at a Glazier clinic. Usually we're in a big auditorium and swapping stories. But this is kind of how we have to deal with things right now. Please reach out anytime. We're here to help you. And good luck this year, and stay safe, and appreciate the time, guys.